Imagine you have only $10 in your pocket. You are hungry, tired, and you still need to study for tomorrow's quiz. You want to buy lunch, a coffee, and maybe a notebook. But when you check the prices, you realize something important. You cannot buy everything. You have to choose. This simple situation is the beginning of economics. Welcome to AP Microeconomics. In this first video, we begin with one of the most important ideas in economics, scarcity. Scarcity explains why people, businesses, and governments must make choices every day. Scarcity means that resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited. In other words, people always want more things. More food, more money, better phones, better education, and better healthcare. But the resources needed to produce these are limited. Scarcity matters because it forces us to make choices. If everything were unlimited, we would not need economics. But because time, money, labor, land, and materials are limited, every choice involves giving up something else. Let's look at a simple example. Your time. Every person has only 24 hours in a day. You may want to study, exercise, sleep, work, watch YouTube, and spend time with friends, but you cannot do everything at once. Because time is scarce, you must decide how to use it. Money is another common example of scarcity. A student may want to buy food, clothes, books, and entertainment, but if they have a limited budget, they must choose. They must choose what is most important. This is why budgeting is an economic decision. Be careful. Scarcity and shortage are not exactly the same. Scarcity is a basic problem that always exists. A shortage happens when the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied at a certain price. For now, just remember, scarcity is permanent, but shortages can often be temporary. To understand scarcity, we need to know the basic resources used to produce goods and services. Economists call these the factors of production. There are four main factors: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. The first factor is land. In economics, land means natural resources. This includes soil, water, forests, and oil. Land is scarce because there is only a limited amount of natural resources available. The second factor is labor. Labor means human effort used to produce goods and services. This includes teachers, doctors, and factory workers. Labor is scarce because people have limited time and skills. The third factor is capital. In economics, capital means tools, machines, and buildings used for production. For example, a bakery uses ovens, mixing machines, tables, and computers to produce bread. The fourth factor is entrepreneurship. This is the ability to organize land, labor, and capital to create goods. Entrepreneurs take risks, start businesses, create ideas, and make important decisions. Because resources are scarce, every choice has an opportunity cost. This is the next best alternative you give up. For example, if you spend 1 hour watching videos instead of studying, the opportunity cost is the study time you gave up. Let's return to our student with $10. The student can buy lunch for $7 and a notebook for $3. But then there is no money left for coffee. If they choose lunch and a notebook, the coffee is the opportunity cost. Scarcity does not only affect students. Businesses face scarcity too. They have limited workers, machines, and money. So a business must decide what to produce and how to use its resources efficiently. Governments also face scarcity. They may want to spend on schools, hospitals, and national defense. But government budgets are limited. They must make difficult choices about how to use public resources. Because of scarcity, every society must answer three basic economic questions: what, how, and who gets what is produced. These questions are at the heart of every economic system. In microeconomics, scarcity is the foundation. Scarcity leads to opportunity cost, production possibilities curves, and comparative advantage. It also leads to cost-benefit analysis, marginal analysis, and supply and demand. If you understand scarcity, you are building a strong foundation for the rest of the course. Let's review. Scarcity means resources are limited, but wants are unlimited. People must make choices. Every choice has an opportunity cost. The four factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Because resources are scarce, individuals, businesses, and governments must decide how to use them wisely. As we're coming to the end of this lesson, I want you to think about this question. What is one scarce resource in your own life right now? Is it time, money, energy, attention, or something else? And what choices do you make because of that? In the next lesson, we will learn about resource allocation and economic systems. Keep thinking like an economist. Now it's time for a quiz challenge. This quiz challenge consists of multiple choice, fill in the blanks, and short answer questions. So, if you're ready, let's begin. Question number 1. What does scarcity mean in economics? A. People do not have enough money to buy luxury goods. B. Resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited. C. Businesses always produce too many products. D. Governments control all economic decisions. The correct answer is B. Resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited. Scarcity is the basic economic problem. Because resources are limited and people's wants are unlimited, individuals, businesses, and governments must make choices. Here's question number 2. Which of the following is an example of a scarce resource? A. Unlimited free time. B. Unlimited money. C. A student's 24 hours in a day. D. Unlimited natural resources. The correct answer is C. A student's 24 hours in a day. Time is scarce because everyone has only 24 hours in a day. Students must choose how to use their time among studying, sleeping, working, and relaxing. Moving on to question number 3. Why does scarcity force people to make choices? A. Because people never want more than they already have. B. Because all resources are free. C. Because people have unlimited wants but limited resources. D. Because opportunity cost does not exist. The correct answer is C. Because people have unlimited wants but limited resources. Scarcity creates the need to choose. When we choose one option, we usually give up another option, which leads to opportunity cost. Moving on to fill in the blank questions. Question number 4. Scarcity means that resources are what? But human wants are what? All right, here are the correct answers. Scarcity means that resources are limited, but human wants are unlimited. Let's move on to the next question. Here's question number 5. Because of scarcity, every choice has what kind of cost? All right, if you said opportunity, you're absolutely correct. Because of scarcity, every choice has an opportunity cost. All right, here's question number 6. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and what? If you said entrepreneurship, you are absolutely correct. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Great job. Now let's move on to short answer questions. Question number 7. Explain scarcity in your own words. Here's a sample answer. Scarcity means that people cannot have everything they want because resources are limited. For example, students have limited time and money, so they must choose how to use them. All right, here's question number 8. can you give one example of scarcity in your daily life? You might have said something like this: one example of scarcity in my daily life is time. I may want to study, sleep, exercise, and watch videos, but I only have 24 hours in a day, so I must choose what is most important to me. Great job. Now moving on to the last question. Question number 9. How does scarcity affect businesses or governments? Here's a sample answer. Scarcity affects businesses because they have limited workers, money, machines, and materials. It affects governments because they have limited budgets, so they must decide how much to spend on education, healthcare, roads, defense, and other public services. Great job! You made it to the end of today's lesson and completed the quiz challenge. Thank you for watching today's lesson on scarcity. Remember, economists see the world differently, so keep asking questions and keep thinking like an economist. Until next time, take care.